This is Pastor Pete. Uh, haven't been with you in a while, live anyway, with my study on the Olivet Discourse, Matthew chapter 24. And my book, The Olivet Prophecy, as you can see here, Matthew 24 Fulfilled, is available on Amazon. It's a pretty thin study. We're just looking at Matthew chapter 24. And if you've been with me a while and have taken note of how we approach the scripture, we approach the scripture in context. Context of the first century, not context of our century. Much damage has been done to the whole idea of prophecy by modern prophecy teachers who try to force biblical prophecy into today's newspaper. Well, here's the context of the scripture in one simple word: Jesus. Jesus is the context of scripture. And when we understand that, we understand that the temple, we understand that Jerusalem, we understand that the national entity of Israel, we understand that the trappings of the old covenant, everything about it, were all fulfilled with the coming of Christ. They were all fulfilled, and once fulfilled, it's like a fulfilled contract, it ceases to be in force. And the ending of the old covenant, the last trappings of it was Jerusalem and the temple. And that ended as a result of the prophecy that Jesus gives here in the Olivet Discourse, and I believe as well in the Revelation by John. The destruction of Jerusalem and the temple during the 3.5 year war from 66 to 70 AD that ended all the trappings of the old covenant. We are in the new covenant. And recently I've been doing a study on Hebrews. And if you really grasp that what we need to do when we come to scripture is look at context, the context of the author, context of the genre of the writing, the context of the time that it was written. There, as much as we can, get into the mind of the people. If we understand that, and we understand that the scripture is about Jesus, then we can really learn scripture. Then we can really be taught, because frankly, for most of us, we have not studied scripture. We have been indoctrinated into it by people who had an agenda. And many times that agenda, let's be honest about it, was monetary. These prophecy teachers that are on radio and television are making millions of dollars off of crazy movies and crazy books. They are getting rich at the expense of teaching the truth. Now, I guarantee you, I put a few books out, but I'm not getting rich. Because when it seems that you write the truth, it is not quite as popular. So today, I wanted to take just a quick look at what I'm calling chapter 6 from my book, chapter 6, and I've titled it "Signs, Signs, Everywhere There's Signs." Well, hey, yes, I'm old enough to have been raised in the 70s, and you may recall that song, but it seemed to fit here pretty well. All right, so let's jump into that. And all right, okay. Well, this is a pretty good new feature that our Talk Studio has that I can put up my PowerPoints right on it. So we're up to chapter 24, verse 4 through 8 of Matthew. And as I said, I've titled it Signs, Signs, Everywhere There's Signs. Signs of the fulfillment of Jesus' prophecy, Matthew chapter 24, verses 4 to 8. And here we go. Also, and you'll see this in the book as well, the parallel sections from Mark chapter 13 and Luke 21. So let me read that just because, why not? Matthew 24, 4 to 8. Jesus answered, "Watch out that no one deceives you, for many will come in my name, claiming I am the Messiah, and will deceive many. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you're not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of birth pangs." So Jesus' prophecy of the destruction of the temple in Matthew 24, 1 to 3, in context, was, as we said, fulfilled in 70 AD with the destruction of the temple and Jerusalem by General Titus and the Roman legions, and under his command. In review, we know this by the context of Jesus' warnings to the Jewish leadership throughout the book of Matthew, in particular Matthew 23. I don't see how you can avoid coming to that conclusion when you read Jesus' warnings, woes to the Jewish leadership in Matthew chapter 23, leading us right into Matthew 24. So this interpretation fits the biblical meta-narrative. That's what I want to say is the meta-narrative, the big picture of the Bible. And I've already said it right out. The big picture of the Bible is Jesus. He's the big picture of the Bible. It leads us to this ending of the old covenant, the beginning of the new and better covenant. Yeah. And wow, read Hebrews, folks. Read Hebrews, the better, the superior covenant. In every possible way, the new covenant is better. And the old covenant was just, shall we say, a holding point until the new covenant came into place. This interpretation fits that biblical narrative. And we come to the conclusion by the time references in this section of Scripture that tell us the timing of these events. And over and over, we're told soon. We're told that these things will happen in this generation, the generation Jesus is talking to, not our generation. We are secondary hearers. So once again, we are interpreting Scripture with Scripture, not Scripture with the newspapers. And so we turn our attention to Matthew chapter 24, verses 4 to 8, where Jesus answers the questions posed by the disciples. When will these things happen, and what will be the sign that they're about to take place? Well, Jesus gives a number of signs, and if we want to look at the parallel scriptures, they're there for you as well. And those signs are simply Matthew 24, 4 to 5. False messiahs will arise, and they did. And we've mentioned that in other sections of the book, and we will talk about that in the next chapter. Matthew 24, 6 to 7. Second sign, wars and rumors of wars. And let's remember, nation rising against nation has to do with the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire, like most empires, whether it was the British Empire or the different empires of history, were made up of nations. They were not made up of states like the U.S. is made up. They were made up of nations. And so the Roman Empire was a conglomerate of national entities. And yes, during this period of time leading us up to Matthew chapter 70, there is war and rumors of war among the nations of the empire. And then we have Matthew 24:7. There will be famines and earthquakes. And yes, there will be. There was. In fact, we don't need to go much farther than the book of Acts to see both famines and earthquakes happening during that period of time between Jesus' ascension, resurrection, ascension, and the destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD. So all of these things are going to happen. We'll get into them in more detail in the coming chapters. I wanted to get back to you to let you know I'm still here to finish off what I started. I'm pretty slow at this. I like to claim I have ADHD and OCD. I like everything done perfectly, but for this long. But in reality, I do have many pans in the fire, and sometimes that squirrel that runs by drags me away. So I do want to finish off my study in the Olivet Discourse, because I found that quite a few of you have written me and let me know that you're using the videos I put on YouTube along with the study of the book. So you get the book, the Olivet Discourse, the Olivet Prophecy, and then use the video during the week, and then come together and discuss the book when you get together, either on a Wednesday or Sunday, whatever works for your particular group. And I really appreciate that. I appreciate the ones that have reached out to me and encouraged me along in this process, because it can be discouraging at times because we're not trying to fit into the world's way of thinking. So I want to let you know I really appreciate you. I appreciate the chance to share some things that I think are important, especially in this age that is so fraught with conspiracy theories. And I'm convinced that the tendency for Christians, evangelical fundamentalist Christians, to grasp onto conspiracy theories in this generation is in a large part because they've been taught that there's a conspiracy behind every bush because of the dispensational premillennial teachings. They're looking for things like a one world government. They're looking for things like a tribulation, and they're looking for an antichrist and a beast and all of these things. And that has so entered their psyche that they're ready to grasp onto any conspiracy theory that comes along. And if you're paying attention, you should realize that this is getting scary in this generation, and we need to step up as Jesus followers and confront these issues. So thank you for the time to listen today, and I'll be coming to you with more in the coming weeks. Thank you, and God bless.